In this lesson, we'll cover framing shaft openings. So in the current plan, if we zoom in, we see we have 3 shaft openings. If we zoom in far enough, we can see our structural steel members aligned with our grids. But if you notice, we don't have structural steel members around the actual shaft openings. So therefore, what we really need to do is we need to add structural members for support for this opening. So we could draw structural members from scratch by placing them using the beam command, or we could copy existing beams. For example, I have a beam that's already placed next to the shaft opening above, but I need one by the shaft opening below. So I could select this beam on the Modify panel, click Copy. If I want multiple copies, check mark Multiple. Now, what I need to do is specify a base point to hold the copy from. So I'm going to select the middle of the column where the beam is anchored. Once you click, you're holding the beam in that position. Simply move down to a near point above the opening and click. Now, once I've clicked, I can drag down below the other side of the opening and click again. This places those 2 beams. Click Modify to end the command. Now, let's click on that first beam we placed. With it placed, maybe you would like it a specific measurement from the actual opening. So you can actually drag this temporary dimension by dragging the drag handle or the blue circle to one of the edges of the opening. From here, you can click the dimension and give the dimension a new value for the given space that you want the column to move. You can do the same thing to the actual beam below. Select the beam, drag the temporary dimensions to where you want, such as the alignment of the end of the shaft, and then change the value to what you would like it to be for placement of that actual beam. Now for the other beam on this side, I could copy an existing beam or draw a new beam. In this instance, we'll create a new beam. So go to the Structure tab, select Beam, verify the property of the type we want to use is 400 by 800, and then simply select the one beam on a center line, drag your mouse down to the center line of the other beam, click, and then click Modify to place the beam. Now again, to position the beam relative to the actual opening, I can drag one of the temporary dimensions to the opening and then change that dimensional value to whatever I would like it to be. Hitting the Enter key updates that beam and that placement. And then the same technique could be used for the other openings to frame in those for structural support. So as a review, in this lesson, we looked at framing shaft openings. We looked at 2 methods. One, copying existing structural beams to place them around the opening, and then using the temporary dimensions to actually position them from the opening. And the other method was to draw a beam using the beam tool, but again, using the temporary dimensions to position that beam relative to the opening.